Hello, I'm Ben. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about 7 traits of successful entrepreneurs and go into those traits and why they're so specifically important for folks starting out on their own. Whether you're starting out as a contract employee, 1099, or fully self-employed brick and mortar, it's very important that these 7 traits be present and be represented in your daily thought process. And so we'll go through those 7 traits and talk about them one by one. First is tenacity. If you're going to determine to go out on your own and be an entrepreneur of some sort, whatever that may be in a service industry or product industry, whatever you decide, having a tenacious attitude is important. One, people with tenacity typically last longer in certain objective lines, meaning they're not going to wear and tear like most other teammates do. You got to have some mental resolve and some discipline on your own process and your own wherewithal to keep yourself above the line. You've got to have that tenacity, not just to be aggressive, but tenacity stands out, meaning that you're going to have the strength of fortitude. You're going to have the ability to overcome certain obstacles and still be in the game and have a positive attitude after that. Number 2 is passion. I put tenacity first because it's extremely important that you be tenacious to support your passion, whatever that may be. Passion, a lot of people don't view passion with the severity that they should or with the importance that they should. If you're passionate about a subject or concept, you will tolerate and you will do more to continue that and support that, right? And also, it's something that you're passionate about, you love that, you're engaged for some reason, which means you believe in it. So often when people ask me questions about sales, especially from a Christian perspective or from a beliefs perspective, they'll say, well, I don't feel comfortable as a Christian or as a this or that selling. And to which my response to those questions are, why? If you are a Christian and you believe in your product and you know that the impact is going to be positive for the person you're selling it to, why would you not want it to impact their lives in a positive way? So it comes back to the passion, the belief. If you're really working somewhere where you have a belief in what it is you're selling or whatever the service is you're offering, then you truly internally believe it's going to improve people's lives. It's going to improve people's lives, and it's your duty to get that ahead of them and get them aware of the benefits and how they capitalize off of that opportunity. So that's where passion comes in. Next is tolerance of ambiguity. And I would say no fear there. Ambiguity, in all business, there's ambiguity, meaning there's going to be days where you feel like it was just like yesterday and tomorrow's going to be the same. That tolerance of ambiguity is big because if you build a successful business, hopefully it'll get to the point where every day is that way, where it feels like just the same, and you're doing things with repetitive consistency. If you're doing things with repetitive consistency, that means most likely you have processes in place, and those processes have gotten to the point they're on automation. If those are automated processes, that means the quality of service is staying the same and the quality of product is staying the same. And if there are a complaint or something from there, you're handling that the same way, in this automatic way, and that is actually a strong sign of a healthy business. So tolerance of ambiguity matters, right? If you have to constantly be doing something different, you don't have the attention span to support what's in front of you and what you've already built, then that's something you should consider around being an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur doesn't mean you just hit it, quit it, move on to the next thing, boom, boom, boom. You have to take some time as an entrepreneur to build the business and get the feet under it to build that foundation so it can be successful. And also, you don't want to leave your customers flat. You want to make sure you're taking care of your customers based on the initial promise that you had that tenacity and that passion about. And this is part of it. You have to deal with the ambiguity of the business by itself and hopefully get to that point where you have that. That is a level of success. Next is vision. In Proverbs, it says, where there is no vision, people perish. That is a fine example of what you should be paying attention to. So culturally, a lot of companies talk about vision and they have a mission statement or a vision statement. And in that, they will say what they expect, what they believe, what they think sets them apart from everyone else in their industry or everyone else in general. Vision to me means you have a long-term plan. And you're going to reach that long-term plan by hitting short-term goals. And you have the ability to be flexible should something come down the pipe that is not congruent with your vision, so you can adapt and overcome whatever that obstacle may be. Vision is important though. If you're not paying attention to what's in front of you, if you're not keeping your eyes on the path and you don't have a goal to where you're going, that's going to be really a lot of displaced resources and displaced people trying to figure out what it is we're doing today. A combined shared vision that is shared in a passionate, tenacious way will drive a company to do very well if it stays focused and stays flexible to move forward as necessary. The next is self belief. In a modern world where we have so much on social media and YouTube and everywhere else, everyone is always concerned with everyone else's opinion. I'll say this first and foremost. If you're concerned with other people's opinion, it makes no sense. And I'll tell you why. Because we think that our self worth, our self value, who we are is most important. Meaning, we spend all the time we have doing what we want to do and what we choose to do. Even if you go to work and you work in someone else's schedule, ultimately you've chosen to get up and go to that job. Well, that's because I have bills. Well, you've chosen those bills. You chose to buy a house or to rent a place, live in a certain city, live in a certain place. Some choice has come down that has allowed you to be in the spot that you're at. Self belief, depending on how you view your life and your value, if you're constantly talking about self-doubt and questioning your actions and questioning your processes in your mind, that's just going to chip away at your armor, right? And as an entrepreneur, as a self-employed person, especially if you're 1099 commission only where you don't have regular income coming in, you have to have resolve and you have to be specifically strong. So if you're a 1099 salesperson, for example, if you get up every day and make 20 calls every day, because that's the number, some say 100, some say 300, whatever your number is, whatever it is that you're working on, if you don't get up and make those 10, 100, 300 calls, whatever that may be, you're not going to have the consistent input that's going to give you the consistent result. If you want consistent results, you have to do the same creative, consistent input daily to get there. That self-belief, that strength of character and internal thought matters greatly there, because some days you're not going to feel like it. Some days emotionally you're not going to be in the right place. Some days somebody's going to be giving you a hard time. Some days people are going to tell you to jump off a bridge. That's fine. You have to have the self-belief and the self-fortitude to move through and push through those obstacles to get to your goals. Ultimately, if you're worried about what other people think, you'll never make it in a sales game because people tell you awful things. You have to be able to say, well, you know what? I understand this product at this time is not right for you. Please keep my information until you determine that it is. And if it is, please feel free to reach out. And if not, I'll reach out in 6 months to a year anyway. So you can tell me to jump off a bridge again. That's how I do it. And I think that's the best way to get resolved. People go through things every day also. So today might just be a bad day when next week or last week or tomorrow might actually be better. So self-belief. 6 is flexibility. I mentioned it earlier as an undertone to some of the other subjects. But if you're not malleable, if you're not flexible, and you have a certain set viewpoints, then what happens with that is you become rigid, and rigid things break and fall away, right? So you want to be flexible. For instance, if you're looking at leasing a building for a certain amount, and you're looking at insuring it for a certain amount, and you're looking at expending this certain amount of money, you have to be flexible. Let's say the building costs more than you thought. Then what you do is you try to reduce cost elsewhere, so your overall expenditure comes back into line with what you expect in your budget. That flexibility, if you're too rigid, you won't be able to focus on what's there. You'll have issues with it. You'll complain. You'll get angry. You'll do those things that keep you from actually focusing and ultimately at the end of the day getting what you're looking at. So I think the best thing about flexibility is to, one, know why you're here. Why are you here and what is it you're trying to achieve? If you review that often with yourself, you will be more available to flexibility. You'll be more available to vision and to increasing or changing your vision based on what you see is available and how you should then counterstep and move forward. It's not stopping. It's not taking a negative outset or outlook. It's just bending slightly so you continue your forward progress. And then the last, number 7, is rule breaking. I'm not talking about the law, but the rules of business, for example. It can be as simple as using your Facebook page to tell people what it is you do in business. There's a certain rule where I don't want to be sold on Facebook, right? That's where I travel all over. I have friends all over the world. My expectation is I'm using that just to say hi from time to time, to watch their kids grow and say, hey, congratulations, happy birthday, all those things, just to be friendly in a different setting. Of course, nothing beats calling them directly and telling them of that. But with that unsaid rule, post every once in a while what you do for a living and why. And because some of the people in your friends group are looking for these services. And if you post that, your friends group will see it. And then when one of their friends or colleagues asks them about something, like, you know what, I just saw something the other day, actually has somebody that does that. That could be considered rule breaking. Next thing about rule breaking, for example, is when you're dealing with vendors and suppliers. You know, if they're saying, well, hey, we'll offer you this much this time, this is the market rate, it's going to go up this much. You may say, well, hey, let me go ahead and purchase this amount there now, but then ship it to me at different times. It's technically not rule breaking, but it's not an order fulfilled on day of order, so that's a little different type thing. Overall, the rule breaking piece means that you're staying flexible to breaking your own rules so you continue to progress and continue to move forward. So that's the 7 traits successful entrepreneurs have: tenacity, passion, tolerance of ambiguity, vision, self-belief, flexibility, and rule breaking. If hopefully this video will be useful to you. If you have an entrepreneurial friend, share it with them, let them know about that. If you like what's on the site, please subscribe. Please recommend the site to folks that you think might subscribe as well. Appreciate the attention, appreciate the time. Be good.